This edition of AEW Dynamite kicks off with the Young Bucks taking on SCU. It's a superb match that lasts 16:04, and it's Matt Jackson that pins Frankie Kazarian with a Meltzer driver. Frankie Kazarian was the weak link, struggling to keep up with everyone else's in-ring performance, and what a match it is. An 85 between the Young Bucks and the SCU. I will have to check this, but I think that's our best match yet here in this TW 2020 save with AEW. Incredible. As the Young Bucks kick off Dynamite yet again. What a start to the show. It's a strong start. It gets the crowd buzzing as you'd expect. Getting an 85, almost bumping it up to a 90. I'm yet to get a 90 here in the save. That's what we're working towards. Obviously, 100 is the dream. But for now, we're just going to have to be dealing with this. An 85, though, incredible. Let's have a look at the dirt sheet. Not much really to pick up on. We know Frankie Kazarian is going to have that decline in physical ability. He is, hate to say it, getting on a bit now. But I feel as though that's harsh because he can still go. He's still fantastic, Frankie Kazarian. After the match, Matt Jackson calls for a mic and then faces his brother Nick Jackson. Listen, I hate to admit it, but what Tully said last week was kind of true, but we've been kind of busy. Now, not so much. Kenny's off doing his thing, whatever that is. God knows where he is. Cody, well, he said he's going to take more of a backseat approach to things, so we need to focus on us and us alone. It's time we go back on the hunt for tag team gold, even if it means opening up every episode of Dynamite and kicking ass. Nick Jackson takes the mic and says, FTR, the three, whatever you want to call yourselves, we hope you beat Penta and Ray because we'd love another shot, you boys. He drops the mic as the crowd go crazy. A great segment here with a 74. What a start to AEW Dynamite. Welcome everyone once again to another explosive AEW Dynamite. This Saturday sees the return of Bash at the Beach as we draw ever closer to Revolution. Bash at the Beach is always an exciting time, and Saturday will be no different because just announced FTR will face the Von Erichs as Tully has just accepted their offer, and the Young Bucks, who we've just seen, will open the show as they have been for the past few weeks. Matt Jackson just said that Cody's taken a back seat. I'll be catching up with him soon to find out what this means. And also, gentlemen, after his shock debut last week, Jeff Hardy is here tonight and we'll be hearing from him. And hold on a second, hot off the press, I've just heard from Tony Khan 2 pieces of information that tonight's main event will see MJF versus Darby Allin, and this Saturday just booked. We will get Hangman versus Pac after what went down at the end of last week's Dynamite. Let's get on with the show. So 58 here, we're in front of 8,471 fans at the American Bank Center Arena. So tonight we're going to get Dr. Britt Baker against Thunder Rosa, who debuted last week. And after spearing Evil Uno through the TNT Tron, Jeff Cobb will finally face Evil Uno. We're also going to hear from Cody. What does Matt Jackson mean by Cody's going to be taking a back seat? We'll find out. And also tonight's main event, just booked, MJF versus Darby Allin. So the second match of the evening sees Thunder Rosa in action for a second week running, and this time she picks up her first win in AEW as she goes over Dr. Britt Baker after 9 minutes 33 with pinfall after a reverse DDT. The segment getting a 30, which is a bit disappointing. The storyline for the Women's Championship Did lose a bit of heat. Dr. Britt Baker the better performer, but they're not far apart, these two, which is good to see that Thunder Rosa is slightly improving. As Thunder Rosa celebrates a hard-fought victory, Brandi Rhodes comes out and stands at the top of the entranceway applauding. After a few moments, Nyla Rose storms out with the mic and confronts Brandi, saying, "Isn't she so perfect, huh? Your little experiment seems to be paying off for her, Brandi. Close to beating Toni Storm and now beating former #1 contender Britt Baker? Bravo indeed. How about we give her a proper introduction to the AEW Women's Division? How about this Saturday at Bash at the Beach? She steps into the ring with me. Then we'll see how perfect she really is." Brandi seems surprised at this and turns to look at Thunder in the ring, who is all for it. She accepts and Brandi does too. So there we go. Match made for Bash at the Beach this Saturday. Nyla Rose will take on Thunder Rosa. And this segment getting a 46. So big things planned for Thunder Rosa here. Will she be able to overcome the Beast Nyla Rose? After the break, Judas plays and both Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, Le Sex Gods, walk out towards the commentary table. Jericho puts the headset on and says, "Jim, Schiavone, nice to see you again, and well, not so much this dummy here with the mask. Up next, gentlemen, you're going to witness the one-man wrecking ball in action against Evil Uno, who he speared right through the TNT Tron a few weeks back. How awesome was that, by the way?" Sammy replies, "So awesome." They high-five. Excalibur, "Many years ago, Chris, you were on the receiving end of such treatment. I can only imagine the damage it caused to your body." "Shut your ass, Excalibur." So a nice little segment here as Chris Jericho joins the commentary team ahead of the next match of the evening between Jeff Cobb and Evil Uno. Nice little throwback as well there from Excalibur, mentioning that time when Jericho was speared through the SmackDown stage by Rhino. If you've never seen that, make sure you go and check it out on YouTube. It was quite an epic time, quite an epic moment. Anyway, in a bout that had a decent reaction from the crowd at Subpar Wrestling, Jeff Cobb defeats Evil Uno in 11 minutes 3 after a tour of the islands. Just imagine the impact of that. Having the big fella Evil Uno up and be incredible to see. Jeff Cobb though with a 53, Evil Uno close behind with a 44 there. Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara stand applauding Jeff Cobb after his win when out of the entranceway comes Brody Lee and Stu Grayson. The four stare one another down for a moment and it's Sammy that throws the first punch. It descends into chaos again between the Inner Circle and Dark Order. Jericho and Sammy begin to walk away when Brody picks up a mic from the desk. "Chris, don't you fucking walk away from me. You know what? Fuck it. This Saturday, Bash at the Beach, you and Sammy face me in our latest acquisition to the Dark Order in a tag match. Let's make things interesting too. Seeing as your boys Santana and Ortiz blooded Silver and Reynolds last week, let's put some blood money on the table. You win, Dark Order pays for your jet. We win, we want Inner Circle blood." Jericho, holding his head, nods and accepts. Jericho letting his ego get the better of him here. He wants someone to pay for his Paymaker Phantom private jet plane, and he's hoping it's going to be the Dark Order if they can defeat them and their latest acquisition at Bash at the Beach this Saturday. Should be good. Hope you guys are looking forward to that one as we move into our next segment as we are backstage as we see Tully Blanchard and the three walking together. Tully says he'll catch FTR up in a bit and he wants a word with Hangman Page. He says, "Hey Page, you okay?" Page stops and stares at the floor and eventually answers, "You know, no one's ever asked me that, Tully. The whole time I was in the Elite, no one wanted to know if I was okay. Even after I lost the first championship match to Jericho, ever since then I've realised I'm nothing to them. Probably never was. That's good. Thank you for opening up. That's good, and now you can use that to finally put those demons to bed, become the champion you're supposed to be, and prove them wrong. You can be the first from the so-called elite to win any major gold. Yes, you and Kenny won the tag titles, but the Bucks haven't, and Cody hasn't won anything either. Yeah, you're right. And at Revolution, I will beat Mox, and I will be the next AEW World Champion. Tully claps him on the back as they go to catch FTR up. So Hangman Page opening up a bit here to Tully, his mentor, as being part of the three here. I felt it was vital to have this happen. We need to kind of understand the thinking behind Hangman Page's turn on Kenny Omega and the Elite. Anyway, backstage we see Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn approach Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy. Whoa! Oh my god, you guys tore it up last week. And can we just say, Jeff, how awesome it is to have you here in AEW along with your brother? We grew up watching you guys. You were our favourite tag team, man. Hey, thanks. You know, it's good to be here. I've heard a lot of good things about some of the competition, including you two. Thanks, Jeff. Look, I know it seems crazy, but can I make a request? Sure. It would mean the world if you two would do us the honour of facing us this Saturday at Bash at the Beach. What do you say? Sure, we're in, says Matt Hardy straight away. Jeff seems a little taken back, but just goes along with his brother. They all shake hands. Isaiah Cassidy takes a selfie. So there is another match made for Bash at the Beach this Saturday. The Hardys against Private Party. It's a dream match for the boys of Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn. What will happen? We'll have to wait and see. It gets to 64. Jeff Hardy getting better at his gimmick. Although Isaiah Cassidy did not do well without a script to follow. I'm not too fussed about that. It's a decent segment. Our next match of the evening sees the Machine Brian Cage against Brian Pillman Jr. In about that how good heat and decent wrestling. Brian Cage defeats Brian Pillman in 12 minutes 3 after a drill claw. Gets a segment rating of 51. Brian Cage sustains a TFCC tear. Cage with an in-ring performance of 60. Pillman Jr. with a 48. And this is where it gets interesting, because after the match, Taz steps into the ring and directs Team Taz to beat down Brian Pillman Jr. Another drill claw from Cage is delivered. He's working with that injury. Heavy metal begins to sound throughout the arena, and rushing out of the back, very Ultimate Warrior-esque, comes Warhorse. Fans chanting, Warhorse, Warhorse. Brian Cage, Taz and EC3 exit, but Ricky Starks gets caught as Warhorse beats him down, finishing him with a big elbow drop off the top as Team Taz watch on. Warhorse throws him over the top and helps Brian Pillman Jr. to his feet. They shake hands. As Cage and EC3 surround the ring, they look like they might attack, but don't bother and they leave with Taz and Starks. As they back up towards the entranceway, the Butcher and the Blade stand behind them looking menacing. They attack Cage and EC3, Taz losing his shit. Eventually, they regroup, pointing and swearing at Butcher and Blade as Taz gets his team to leave. So Butcher and the Blade returning a bit of what happened in the Battle of Britain Battle Royale 2 weeks ago over in the UK. As EC3 and Brian Cage did team up, they eliminated the Butcher and the Blade. That was also part of the plan for that Battle of Britain Battle Royale. Backstage, we see Tony Schiavone standing outside Cody's office door. He says, in just a moment, I'll be able to get word from Cody as we find out what's next for him here in AEW. He knocks, and the door opens quickly. Cody steps out, and Tony goes to say something, but Cody stops him and says, can't stop, Tony. He looks at his phone as he continues to walk off. Tony Schiavone is baffled, and then says, back to you, JR. This gets an 80. Tony Schiavone didn't do well, didn't perform well in this segment. Maybe that's because he wasn't on a script, but I think that's a load of bullshit, really. Tony Schiavone is fantastic in front of a camera. Anyway, up next, MJF heads to the ring ready to compete. He has Wardlow alongside him. He steps into the ring and he seems in a good mood. But as soon as Darby Allin's music hits, that changes. MJF looks focused. When both men are in the ring and ready for the bell, attention turns to the top of the entranceway as Hangman Page, Dax Hardwood, Cash Wheeler and Tully Blanchard come out to watch. This gets to 70. So the three and Tully Blanchard are there, they're in attendance, they're keeping an eye on this match, or are they keeping an eye on someone? We're not sure. MJF came across well, Cash Wheeler improvised well, Darby Allin benefited from having the groundswell of public support as we move into our main event of this evening then between MJF and Darby Allin. Is it going to be another fantastic main event just like last week, which saw us get an 80 between Mox and Darby Allin? It's an 81. It's better than last week's main event, but only just. In a bout that had great heat and good wrestling, MJF defeats Darby Allin in 1750 by submission with a Fujiwara armbar after interference from Wardlow. Darby Allin on a 2-match losing streak. He lost his chance at the AEW Championship last week and now he's lost to MJF this week in the main event. It's interesting to see that MJF gets a 63. Darby Allin is just fantastic anyway, so he was always going to be up towards the 70s, but MJF was expecting a little more. Anyway, after winning the match, MJF along with Wardlow make their way up the entranceway. The three stand in their way. They all look at one another, no words are exchanged, just looks. The three eventually let them pass. So this gets a 68. FTR, Hangman Adam Page, the three making their presence known. We know that Page is the number one contender. MJF wants to be back in the title picture. He's on a 2-match unbeaten run as well since the trip to the UK, beating Matt Sydal last week, beating Darby Allin, such a huge win that for MJF. As the three turn around, they get approached by the AEW World Champion Jon Moxley. He goes straight up to Hangman Page. They square off as Dax, Cash and Tully watch on. Jon Moxley raises his title above his head, right in front of Hangman, sending a message. From behind, the bastard Pac attacks Moxley. He grounds and pounds on the top of the entranceway, punching him over and over. The fight is then taken to the concrete floor just below by the stage there. Mox begins to fight back, but it's not enough. Pac is like a wild thing. Pac then hits a pile driver on Mox onto the solid concrete. Mox is out cold. Refs and medics come to his aid as Pac walks away whilst the three watch on. AEW Dynamite comes to a close. So the bastard Pac, making a bastard of himself at the moment, attacking the AEW World Champion, is one way to make or send a message by taking out the champion, and he's done so brilliantly here. With a pile driver on the concrete, Mox may be out of action for who knows how long. Will he even be able to hold on to the title? Will he have to relinquish it? We'll have to wait and see. So, as we go ahead to finish the show, have we beaten last week's show rating of 78? That is the question. That is the mark to beat, and no, we haven't. We've scored a 76, which is still fantastic, still brilliant, still enough to challenge NXT, I'm sure. And we did increase our popularity in 4 regions, although 2 regions and 3 regions in America and Canada were limited. Again, all goes down to our broadcaster and losing ITV4 as well, and the fact that we can't even negotiate for a new deal now anywhere else after ITV4 dropped us. So again, we're just going to have to keep doing what we're doing, keep pumping out these great shows. Hope you guys are enjoying it still. I know that I am. Anyway, let's go find out how we've done with ratings this week. So we scored a 1.67 TV rating. We had a total of 1.2 million viewers tuning in. Over on TNT, we had 905,000, so that's more than last week. And on TSN2, we had 348,000, very consistent compared to last week's. Let's have a look at NXT then. So again, I'm mainly focusing on show rating at the moment because it's just not fair that we're not allowed to go and negotiate with any other broadcasters. So they drew with us this week on show rating as they get a 76, and again, they beat us on TV rating, which I'm not too fussed about. I mean, they had the NXT Championship on the line as Ciampa defeated Kushida to retain. The Macho Men defeated Nightwatch, Johnny Gargano and Cameron Grimes in a cage match. So they had a cage match, they had the title on the line. Quite a night of action for NXT, but they still couldn't beat AEW on show rating, on show quality. Anyway, that's it for this edition of AEW Dynamite. I'll see you all soon for AEW Bash at the Beach.